Hello and welcome to this session in which I will briefly introduce and demonstrate Titan, the new SD-WAN solution that ALE is launching in partnership with Versa Networks. Here's the agenda. We start with a brief introduction to the ALE and Versa Titan SD-WAN and SASE solution. Then we move on to a demo in which I will demonstrate the remote configuration and activation of a new branch, as well as some advanced security and traffic steering capabilities. And we finally close with some key takeaways. So let's begin. ALE Versa Titan is developed with Lean IT in mind. What is Lean IT? Many mid-market organizations do not have a big IT organization with a help desk, etc., catering to their IT or networking needs. This is what we call Lean IT. Lean IT means that the technology used in the high end of the enterprise space is somewhat simplified to adapt to the reality of this type of organization. As such, it does not require a lot of training or certifications in order to deploy and run. It just needs to be simple. It needs to be easy, but still comprehensive enough to meet the business needs, specifically networking and security. This is Lean IT, and it means that it has to be cloud delivered, no need to build a sophisticated centralized management system to deploy an SD-WAN solution. No, you just deploy it from the cloud. Then, rolling out the network for connectivity across different branches with SD-WAN must be easy to deploy. Security remains a top consideration. Therefore, security services are an integral part of the ALE Versa Titan solution. It comes with a next generation firewall, remote access, cloud-based security, as well as on-prem security. So all the needs that an enterprise has when it comes to security can be fulfilled with this solution. What are the typical ALE Versa Titan use cases? Typical customers are SME or mid-market with up to 200 sites who have connectivity and security needs, but do not have a big IT team. They just want to consume software as a service for SD-WAN and manage it themselves. But this solution, since it is cloud hosted, can also be easily co-managed by the business partner. Another use case is in the retail market. Often retailers have lots of locations, many shops, but not much IT skills. Quick activation is key. They want to provide guest Wi-Fi, which is natively integrated in the Titan SD-WAN solution. It's cost effective compared to other solutions addressing the same market whilst still being feature rich. So addressing the retail market even with many sites is quite doable. Then there are use cases around security. Enterprises have not only networking needs but also security needs. They may be looking at cloud security proxies, but in Titan this is already integrated and therefore is very simple to activate, and it offers a single pane of glass for both SD-WAN and security services. Other use cases are work from home. Because it is cost effective, there are low entry point CPEs, so it is suitable for work from home, either using remote access with a software client on a laptop or application on a phone, or bringing SD-WAN to the home by deploying a small CPE device at the home. So, how do we do site activation in a Lean IT environment with ALE Versa Titan? This is a cloud-based solution. However, because it's SD-WAN, it still requires certain things to be done on site. So the appliance needs to be installed on-prem and it needs to be configured to become part of the SD-WAN network. This is done through a zero-touch provisioning process. We connect the site to the internet and the appliance simply fetches the configuration from the cloud and activates itself. Of course, the IT administrator with access to the Titan portal will pre-configure certain things using the Titan dashboard in advance. But once that is done, the activation is really simple and no longer requires a skilled engineer to be on site. This brings down the cost of operations, the cost of service for the business partner. As I said before, it does not require a skilled engineer on site, so the appliance can be simply shipped. The site will be pre-configured by the administrator. It only requires someone on site to plug it in, and it will be automatically configured and activated from the cloud in 5 minutes or less. So, let me demonstrate how we can do all that from the Titan portal. What we see on the screen is a Titan web portal which is hosted in the cloud. From this portal, we can do all configuration, we can deploy new appliances for new sites, and we can also monitor the status of the network, gather analytics, and troubleshoot without ever having to configure things manually through CLI commands. This portal is also available as an app with similar functionality. You can use the app to deploy an appliance for a new site by connecting to it through Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, or you can use a zero-touch provisioning mechanism, which I will show you today. Let's set the view to map view. And let's imagine that there's a new appliance to be deployed in Deauville in the north of France. There we are. So we're going to pick out of the available subscriptions that we see I have at the bottom left corner. So currently I have 4 available subscriptions for the CSG 700 type of appliance. So I will choose one of those and I will drag it to the desired location. So this dialog pops up and I will leave the address information as it is, but I will change the name. You will notice that everything's pre-populated for me, including the coordinates. I can choose the topology, so by default the topology will be a full mesh, and that means that every site will have a direct tunnel to every other site. But I can change that to hub and spoke, or hub controller, which is a hybrid kind of topology. And that would suit scenarios in which there's internet connection as well as MPLS or a different type of private connection between some of those sites. But for now, I'm just going to go with a full mesh. I can also deploy 2 appliances at high availability, in which case I need to provide the details of both, but it's not the case for this site, so I will uncheck it. I will set the name again to Deauville and the serial number, because the serial number is how the cloud will identify the appliance when it contacts the cloud, and it will send the correct configuration and policies to it. So the serial number for this appliance is VCSG9. So we click on next. So now we need to configure the network. Let's start with the WAN. For the WAN, if this appliance is simply going to be connected to an internet link, most likely we're going to have the ACP on that link, and so we don't need to configure anything. We don't need to configure the speed, etc. We can choose whether we want to use split tunneling or not, so that setting is here. I will leave that setting because it saves bandwidth by sending internet traffic directly out to the internet. So I will save that, and then we can move on to the LAN configuration. So for the LAN, we have firstly the Easy Quick Picks button, which will pre-populate the configuration for the LAN and the wireless LAN interfaces. So let's have a look at the wired LAN interface. And as you can see, it has automatically chosen subnets which do not conflict with the subnets of the other sides. It has already enabled the DHCP server and DHCP scope, as well as DNS. Of course, I can change all this and set it to what I need it to be, but I'm happy with this. And there's similar settings for the wireless LAN, and I'm not going to show you that. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to click on Save. And I will continue with the security tab. In the security tab, there's a few things. And as you can see, there's some policies which are pre-populated. And where is this coming from? Well, this is coming from a template that I have defined before starting the demo. And this is good, firstly, because on the one hand, it saves configuration time, but on the other hand, it also helps configuration and security policies in particular, and other policies that I will show you later, to be consistent across the entire network. So let's examine what I have here under firewall rules. There's some default rules that simply allow the traffic between the different sites. And I added this rule, which is the no Facebook Messenger rule. And there's different ways in which you can create firewall rules, but I've chosen to go with DPI because the firewall that's built into the appliance is just not the simple packet filter, it's a next generation firewall, so we can use DPI to identify the application at layer 7. And so I chose Facebook Messenger. So if I try to customize this, let's say I look for Facebook, you see there's 14 different Facebook apps. And it might be okay for us to allow Facebook to browse the feeds and maybe to make a post and so on, but we want to block the Facebook Messenger because that allows for the exfiltration of information that's potentially no good to be shared outside the organization. So I'm just going to exit out of this. I'm going to go back. I'm just going to leave it as it is. So the action is denied. What else can I do? So we can also apply URL type of policies. So I have blacklisted fake news URLs. We have some categories which are predefined. So things such as porn, gambling, etc. will be automatically blocked. We can customize that. We have antivirus and intrusion prevention system as well because the appliance, again, it's more than just a firewall. It's actually a unified threat management appliance. So we can apply antivirus to attachments or to files which are transferred over the internet. We can set different settings for the intrusion prevention system and so on. So I'm going to leave that. I made no change. And I'm going to go to steering. In steering, we can apply specific treatment to specific traffic types. I'm going to show you what I have configured for real time. So first, what do we define as real time? Well, real time would be things such as Rainbow, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and so on. And the way we identify this traffic is also using the deep packet inspection capability. So we see I have selected a list of 29 applications as real time. And if we go down here, we see Rainbow. So it's good to see that the Rainbow application is recognized by the DPI, by the next generation firewall. So that's what defines what real-time traffic is. So let's go back and see what we do with this type of real-time traffic. There's different things that we can do. If we have multiple links, we can decide what type of traffic will use what type of link, or whether we want to do load balancing between the multiple links. It's not the case of this side. So what I have predefined in the template is that when there's packet loss of 10% or more, we're going to apply forward error correction. So this is taking advantage of the fact that the different appliances constantly monitor the quality of the connection between them for latency, packet loss, and delay variation. And when, in this case, the packet loss goes above 10%, we apply forward error correction. And what is that? So forward error correction is something similar to RAID in storage arrays. So RAID 5 in particular. So the way FEC works is for every 4 packets, it adds a fifth parity packet. And this fifth parity packet allows for the recovery in case one of the other 4 packets is lost in transit. And this is forward because this can be recovered at the destination without requiring a retransmission, which is not something you can do for real-time traffic. So this is very good, and that means that the quality of the real-time application of, let's say, a Rainbow call will still be good, even though the underlying infrastructure is just simply best effort internet bandwidth. There's also the option to do packet replication, and this can be done for very specific, very mission critical traffic. And in that case, it will simply duplicate the traffic over multiple links. This has to be done carefully, because if we just do it for all traffic, the risk is that we will make the problem worse. So that's why it's important to not only have this feature, but to combine it with the deep packet inspection, so that we can very granularly decide what type of traffic we're going to apply this policy to. So that's what I have defined. It's all saved, and I'm going to close it. And it's going to tell me that the device is not deployed. And yes, I still want to close it, because simply the device is not really there right now. So that's why I'm not going to deploy it. But for me to deploy it, all that needs to be done is for the appliance to arrive on site, and then someone needs to plug it to the internet connection and to the wall, and there's nothing else to do. So this suits very well a lean IT kind of environment, because the person that connects the appliance does not require any IT skill at all. It's just simply plugging the appliance to the wall and to the internet connection. So once that is done, the appliance will contact the cloud, and the cloud will match the serial number with the one that is defined in my tenant, and will apply the right configuration. So let's switch the view, and so let me now explain what we have on the screen. The Deauville appliance will remain with the small orange circle, because it's not deployed. But the others, they have the green circle, which means that they are deployed. And so we have 8 appliances, which are Paris and Calabasas configured as hub, and then we have 6 more appliances, which are neither hub nor spokes. What that means is effectively all 8 appliances are configured in a full mesh. But I did configure Paris and Calabasas as a hub, because in the future I may want to add some spoke sites, but not for now. And then I have appliance number 9, which is the SASE gateway. So the SASE gateway terminates SASE connections for remote SASE clients. I'm not going to be demonstrating that today, but let's have a look at the rest. So I'm going to switch to the monitor tab, and I see that again here the green circle is telling me that all those appliances are up and reachable. Let's have a look at what I can do for each one of them. So let's imagine we look at Singapore. So I click on the monitoring dashboard, and firstly I see that everything looks good, but let's see in more detail. So if I go to the device, I can see how the device is doing in terms of CPU, disk, and memory availability. You can also have a look at how the bandwidth is being used by what type of application at this location. And if I look at SD-WAN connectivity, I can see the status of the different tunnels to the different locations. And as I told you before, this is a full mesh, so you can expect to have one tunnel for every other location, as well as some tunnels for control to the controllers. The only tunnel that we see as down is the Deauville tunnel, because simply that appliance is not there. And it's also important to notice that I never had to configure those tunnels, right? So the orchestrator automatically knows what to do and goes and does it for me without having to configure those encrypted tunnels. So let's go back and let's go to security. And what we see here is the different URL categories and the number of hits for each one of them through time. We can also see the reputation for each of those URLs. If I go back, we can go to network. And so for each interface, we can see whether it's up or down, and then we have simple tools such as ping and trace route.
If I click here on routes for LAN, what I see is all the LAN routes. LAN routes, that means overlay routes. And as you can see, all these are BGP routes because BGP is the protocol that takes care of all the dynamic routing in the Titan solution. It is a protocol that may be scary to some people, but the good thing is that there's nothing for us to do. So all the BGP peering and all the BGP policies are automatically configured by the Titan solution. All that we have to do is declare the site, and then Titan will do the rest. It's also interesting to go to troubleshoot. And similarly, we can go to a site in case a problem is reported from one of these sites. It has some scenarios, and it will guide us through the resolution of the problem. So let's choose Rome and click on troubleshoot. So these are 4 different scenarios. We cannot connect to the internet. It will tell us what to do. We cannot access certain websites, or we cannot connect to the Wi-Fi. It will tell us step by step what to do. But let's imagine the case of a slow internet connection. So let's imagine someone reported a slow connection between Rome and Paris. So we can actually run a speed test. So let's do that. We select the interface that we want to run the speed test from. For this appliance, there's only one interface, so we go with that. And here we find the site that we want to run the test towards. So we're going to enter Paris and click on test. So this will take a few seconds. And here we see the results. We see we have a download speed of around 800 Mbps and an upload speed of about 750 Mbps. If you ask me, that's a very good speed, so we should investigate the problem somewhere else. So let's close out of this. There's more advanced things that you can do under live monitoring and analytics, but I will stop here.
I hope this presentation and demo gave you a good idea of the Titan solution. Let's close with some key takeaways. First and foremost, as you have appreciated in the demo, it is the simplified and intuitive GUI to address complex configuration and security needs. If you have configured a firewall before, you will recognize that they can be complex and that you need a certain amount of training and experience to understand what you're doing. The Titan interface makes it easy for non-skilled people to understand what they're doing. We've seen how, with only a couple of clicks, you can filter applications or websites. It combines integrated Wi-Fi, LTE, and on-prem connectivity. There's no need to have multiple boxes such as a router, LTE, modem, etc. We can have all that in one box, and we can even configure redundancy with LTE backup, and because it's a single box, it's all integrated and it's easy to set up. It supports a rich and robust set of SD-WAN services. We have not discussed competing solutions, but ALE Versa Titan includes a superior feature set compared to other solutions that address the same market. But once again, the configuration is still intuitive enough for Lean IT administration. It provides cloud-based remote access and cloud-based security. I did not demonstrate this, but it's important to highlight that they're natively integrated in the solution and that they can be deployed from day one or can be added later on. And because it's fully integrated, there is no need to manually add IPsec and GRE tunnels between the Cloud Security Gateway and the SD-WAN. Everything is done automatically for us. And it does all this with a single pane of glass for visibility and control. And on top of all this, default templates for repetitive tenant configurations, options for bulk updates, and rich logging and visibility. That brings me to the end of this session. Keep enjoying your Spaceworkers Live event. I'm looking forward to interacting with you in the forum. Take care and see you soon.